What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Report. I'm your host, Emily Peters, and I have a lot of updates for you. A lot of exciting stuff happening right now in high school football. First, Childs posted on their Twitter this morning and said it's official. Coach Bill Reagans is their head coach. So he is no longer their interim head coach. He has earned officially the title of head coach at Childs High School. So huge congratulations to Coach Reagans. If you haven't listened to that episode yet of the podcast, it was the first one I posted with the head coach interviews, and I strongly encourage you to do so because he just talks about the culture at Childs. He talks a little bit about his time at Florida State. And he's a great dude. I'm so ecstatic for him. So congratulations, Coach Reagans. Second, last episode, I teased that we would speak with Godby head coach DeMario Jones. What I didn't include then, that I've learned now, is that he is actually the former head coach of Godby High School. He has taken the opportunity to take a head coach job at Charlton County High School in Georgia. And this is a huge opportunity for Coach Jones. I'm ecstatic for him too. Congratulations, Coach Jones. And this is really good for him. He is originally from Jacksonville, and his family's still there, so it's much closer. I think it's about an hour. And I'm going to read you guys a quote from the Tallahassee Democrat. I believe they did an interview with him. I got all my information from the Tallahassee Democrat, so thank you guys over there. But Coach Jones said, "Our mission was always to build up not just the young people in our program, but anybody we came in contact with to be the best that they can be and have pride in what we're doing." And I really think that just sums up who he is and his approach to coaching. You'll hear in this interview that, he took this job at Godby High School, and it was a rebuild. The Cougars they needed an entire culture change. And, for a lot of people, they probably wouldn't have taken a head coach job knowing that's what they're going into. But Coach Jones embraced it fully. He really cares about these kids. And he told me, when I got here, I realized that football would become secondary very quickly if I didn't acknowledge some of these issues that the kids were having. So, I think that he truly has had an impact on these kids. I know that he wishes the best for them, and this is it's an amazing opportunity for him and his family to be closer to his family and to take this head coach job in Georgia. I'm extremely excited for him. So I'll let this interview kind of speak for itself. I have the utmost respect for Coach Jones. And yeah, I wish him the absolute best moving forward with this new position. And here he is. This is Coach DeMario Jones. Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this again. I think that the first game that we had you last year, you had just had your baby girl. So, of course, I want to hear how she's doing, too.
Well, she just celebrated, Miss Taylor celebrated her first birthday this past week, and we had a big birthday party with a bunch of family and friends at my gym in Jacksonville. So she's doing well. She's growing her own little personality, so we're loving that. But other than that, we're just blessed for where she's at, this young in life.
Yeah, that's awesome. My best friend from home, her little boy just turned 1, so they're right about the same age. And I saw all the pictures. I wasn't able to get home, but it looked like a good time.
Yeah, always fun with 1-year-olds.
All right, so it's year 2 for you. The first one is out of the way. And do you feel like there's a certain level of pressure released after year 1? Now you can kind of settle in and build on what you've established?
No, I think, looking at the path of my career, I've kind of, started my career at the what most folks in the South would consider the pinnacle, of high school football, being at a place like Valdosta High School. So, pressure doesn't necessarily bother me. I think, I put more on myself than anyone else to try to meet a certain standard. And so, if you'd asked me, last year I had a plan and I told myself if I could get, 90% of this done in a year will be better, quickly. But for me, out of that 90% that I was hoping to get done, I probably only got about 5. I think when you go in somewhere, it really takes you some time. It really takes you some time to get to know the lay of the land, and not every plan that you have is going to fit in necessarily place, but, your expectations and how you get there shouldn't change. So, in that respect, that's what I'm so much more looking forward to for year 2, is that the expectation and the foundation has been laid for what we want to try to do as a program, not just, on the field, but with the character and life piece with our kids.
Talking about that character that you have with your team, when I was listening to the Life in Football podcast that you were a guest on, I loved listening to you talk about the culture that you're instilling at Godby. Will you kind of tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I got here, I immediately figured out that our kids were, angry. Not necessarily at any, one particular thing. We had a majority of our kids, a little over 80% that were failing 3 or more classes, and we got a total of 6 classes here at Godby. So, I knew anything I wanted to try to do football was going to become secondary immediately if I didn't take care of, 2 things, which was having a plan for academics and then having a plan for how we would address, our character education piece. So, we always define character as who you are when no one's watching. So if I'm looking off from a distance, what would I say about Emily Peters and her interaction with others? So for us, that has become really a standard. It's really turned and it's really morphed into being the best version of yourself each and every day that you step foot out into this world. And so we talk about the life piece so much. I've been at places where we've traditionally just won or been dominant. So last year, as far as the result on the field, was a complete whirlwind for me, being that I had all that stuff going on with my wife being pregnant, then having the baby, and then my wife getting sick, and then the baby getting sick, and then at one point me being sick. So last year was just a difficult year. It's my first losing season since starting to play football in 1995 in Fort Pierce, Florida. So you could imagine, all the sleepless nights I had about, how you can get this thing turned around. But it's all just been a mindset shift. It's getting people to believe in themselves first before for anything. And if you get enough of those types of folks on a football team collectively, and obviously Godby's always had talent. So really it's been just the mindset shift and understanding the expectation of our football program. And then, my job and our assistant coach's jobs is to continue to reinforce what the standard is daily.
Oh, and it's just so much more than football. I love that so many athletes and coaches are taking such a stand on the mental side, and creating that culture is such a big stepping stone to what they do on the field. So, I love that is such a priority for you. And how have you seen this translate to their performance on the field?
This off season, our goal as a staff, we went and did some different types of professional development together, outside of just, the usual coaches getting together. We attended what I think is the best clinic for high school football coaches in Atlanta, the Glazier Clinic. It's the same one I've gone to, really the last 10 years. And we wanted to design an off-season program that was going to challenge our kids to be more mentally and physically tough, but then more so, emotionally tough. When you gather kids together, it's not always popular to be the last one in the group. Kids nowadays, their way of acting out is to show, fits of rage and aggression, almost to the type that you would hope you'd see on a football field. So we really tried to design a football program or off-season conditioning training program that would push our kids in all 3 of those facets. And so I know we've got a tougher team. I know we've got a team that'll go longer. One of the things I've always said since I got here is, who are we going to be when adversity strikes? Our motto, or our rallying cry this year, is there are no free rides, and that's really a life lesson. In life, if anyone were to tell you, hey, this is free, someone somewhere paid a price for you to get, that specific item or what have you. So there's a price to pay to win, and so when we don't do that in practice or lifting daily in school or whatever, there's always a price to pay. And so our kids, they kind of joked about it at first. They thought it was funny. Hey, coach, no free rides. What is that going to be about? What does that mean? But it's really a way in life. I'm trying to teach our young men that collectively, when you look at the state of Florida, Godby services the poorest area per capita in the entire state of Florida. And I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm from the northwest quadrant of Jacksonville, which is not one of the traditionally richer areas of town. Hold on just a second. So with what we're trying to teach our young men, I want for the next 50 to 60 years of their life for them to have something they can look back on from playing in our football program and say, you know what, I learned that stuck with me, that I can apply this to everything in my life. So, that I know we're a tougher team. Now, what that translates to on the football field, it remains to be seen, and I'm excited to see it and be a part of it.
Did you have coaches when you were growing up with a similar approach?
Yes, my coaches did go about that approach, more of a similar style of what we're doing. But I will tell you, if you're coaching in nowadays times, you better be a change agent. You better be able to adapt to the times. There was no social media relatively back in 2005, 2006. I think MySpace might have been the only thing out, and Facebook was kind of known in some college circles, but now kids have everything. Literally, if something happens here in Tallahassee, some kid in Houston knows about it almost instantly if it's put on whatever social media platform. So I think you got to be able to adapt. With that, we are living in a day and age where kids do care about the way they look. They do care about, the things that they have. They're more materialistic. This is, a reason why fundraising and having the opportunity to provide a, quality, first-class program for your kids is important because, there's this whole piece about recruiting now in high school. And so you've got to be able to do things for your kids that make your program attractive. But for me, what I always sit down and tell our parents or parents of kids that, inquire about what it would be like playing here, I don't ever want to catch anybody off guard. We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to talk about the life piece, and we're going to develop you football-wise. Where you fall at on the spectrum of being a college athlete or whatever, that's going to really be put in your hands. Are you going to do the work and do what you're supposed to in all facets of your life to get to where you're trying to go?
Now, I do want to talk about this new turf you guys have. Congratulations.
Thank you. I believe it was a long time coming. We're the last school in Leon County School District to get it, and we're definitely excited and appreciative for everyone who's had a hand in getting it for us.
Definitely a long time coming. I'm excited to come out and see it. How ready are you and your team to host some games this season?
I think you take a look at our schedule. We played our kickoff classic here. We're playing 4 JV games here, and then the first 2 weeks of the season we're here. So in all we're gonna host 4 of our 7 home games here on campus this year. Part of that is, I feel like we make a little bit more money when we're here as opposed to Cox, because obviously the area we service is more west of Tallahassee, and, Cox is kind of right in the center, right around the corner from FAM. So for that respect, I think we financially do a little bit better when we're in the neighborhood. But then 2, it gives us a chance to host something in this neighborhood that if anybody's not doing anything on a Friday night and they have to be riding down Tharp Street or be coming down Ocala, which are 2 of the, more busier streets, in the fall and spring when students are here, I want to give them an opportunity to stop by and see, what we have going on out here. And it's a really beautiful scene to see on Friday night. Last week against Rains was really cool to see when I got a moment to just take back and look at how many people we had there. and just, the whole optics of everything look well, and we want to be able to provide something that our community can rally behind. So it's been wonderful thus far.
It could be huge for your team's confidence too. I mean, you talk about the different influences of like social media. Well, I mean, now they have this brand new turf that looks awesome and they can be really proud of that. So do you think that'll give them an additional level of confidence on the field?
I do. In our last team meeting, prior to official practice beginning, we went around the team, and I gave everyone on the team an opportunity to talk about what was something, just in short, give me a buzzword that's going to help define our season. And I think, I'd be bragging on one of my seniors, DeMario Jones, who's a senior offensive lineman, and his was individual pride. And and the scene couldn't have been said any better. We were up in the bleachers looking down at the new turf. We had just got done, doing 110-yard sprints. I believe we may have done 20 of them that day,
wow.
With multiple breaks in between, just trying to break in the new turf and get a feel for everything. And that was after we had lifted weights and practice. So it was our last, true organized team activity before, we started official practice. And when he said individual pride, that just kind of summed up, how I feel about our turf and our school and anything that Godby participates in. Our students have to have a level of individual pride, and not only themselves, but what they're representing during competition. That, hey, when somebody steps foot on that turf, they're in for how many ever minutes it takes to get the job done. They're in for a tough one. We're going to defend our house, and that really bodes in well with how I feel about just our entire program. I know last year was not anywhere near what the Godby standard is. I'll tell you, I believe we're at a better place now in so many important areas than what we were when I first got here. But it's really just about the individual pride piece, and that's why we want to show that our field off as much as we can. We're hosting the 4 games, with varsity, and then we're hosting 4 JV games. So at 8 opportunities this year just with football, the community will be able to come out and enjoy it. We want our kids to be proud of it, and I definitely believe that we are proud of it and we're going to take good care of it.
That had to be such a proud moment for you too as a coach, just seeing the kids kind of take it in and you seeing them have that pride in themselves, and that's what you want, as a coach, as a leader.
Well, the first 20 minutes, the first day we were allowed to get on, we had our marching band come out, and they played, and the kids ran on the field kind of like we would on a Friday night. And then about 20 minutes into being on the turf, our kids were ready to be off of it because it's a little hotter, a little hotter of a playing surface. But no, they enjoy it. They bug the heck out of me now when we still decide to practice across the street as opposed to being on the turf because, they just want to be on it. They want to be a part of it. Obviously it's the newest thing on campus, and, it's such a thing for our kids to rally behind. That has been my biggest thing since I got here. We've purchased new equipment in the form of helmets and new jerseys and just something for our young people to feel like they're number one. Again, that's one of those things when you look at the day and age that we're living in. Kids want to see the best, and for me, even long before they've earned it, I just feel like when you give a young person all the resources that they can, you hold them accountable. How are they not going to be successful? And so you just can't tell me that our kids can't do something. And that for me is one of the biggest things that I enjoy about coaching. When you see a young person succeed in doing something that they themselves couldn't see themselves being successful on, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world. And I again, I hope that translates to us being really, really good this year. But I at least know internally that we're headed in the right direction, where we'll get back to where, Godby's a household name all across the state.
I don't want to take too much of your time. I know I've got you for like 20 minutes here, but I do want to touch on some individuals. Tylen Vickers, obviously a kid that really stands out, someone who showed a lot of growth last year. What did you and your coaching staff work on to get him playing at that level?
I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't Tylen. Tylen himself works extremely hard. He is a self-motivator. I will say this, and because I have to say this, that Tylen is one of the kids that when this off season started, you start hearing about different kids from different schools wanting to transfer. Tylen's a kid that he would come daily to work, would never listen to that stuff. And then when we had a few kids that transferred out of here, Tylen was one of the first ones to say, I've got to put my team on my back, and he meant that this is his team. So he's just a workhorse. Tylen, is as hard on himself as we are on him, which, makes for an awesome young man to work with, but more so especially Tylen's a good young man. He does what he's supposed to. He walks around the school building and conducts himself in a way in which he'd be proud to say that he represents our football program. So, again, he's a self-motivator. He's obviously a special talent, but the intangibles that he has are just things that you just can't measure about a young man, and you just can't make them have. So I'm so excited to have him, not just this year, but another couple of years, because he is going to be a special talent.
Who are some of the other players that stand out to you right now?
I think offensively, we're starting 5 seniors, 5 kids who still have a ways to go to reach their full potential. But Cameron Hoyt, Zion Mahone, Charles Forsall, Kamarion Bush, and Carlton James are all phenomenal young men that don't give us any problem. They try to aim to please. They just try to come every day and work hard. And then obviously we've got a kid that we feel is going to kind of live up to, before it's all said and done, the standard of what running back players look like here at Godby, DeMario Bentley. We feel like we've got an all-purpose athlete, Jalen Allen, who is going to play both offensively and defensively. He'll be the first person in Godby history to wear the number 0 this season. And then, I think everything, is going to really, for our offense is going to depend on, the growth and maturity of, our young quarterback, Lazarus Chambers, who is 6'3", 185 pounds, and we feel is, ultra talented. He's got some room to grow mentally, and, we try to design game plans and things around him, that suit him. I meet with him Monday and Tuesday, talk about young people in school and how, much of socialites they are and getting out and, any chance they get with their peers. And Lazarus and I meet every Monday and Tuesday during his lunch period, and we watch film and we go over the game plan for the week. And, he's steadily impressing me because he comes in here and, I'll ask him to, tell me what our opening script is, or, I'll quiz him on, what read he has on a play or what we're looking for, when we're counting the box and run. So he's becoming smarter. He retains the information well, but he in himself has a story to tell, because he was the starting JV quarterback last year and then wasn't able to play in the spring, and now is back in great state. He is a phenomenal young man. That kind of translates into defense. His brother, LaWarren Chambers, is a starting defensive back for us. Again, LaWarren's about 6'2", 175 pounds, can run, is a huge track kid. Tony McLean, our Mike linebacker, who's coming up on a 3-year starter here at Godby. Everett Valcourt on our defensive line, and Deontay Cromartie. And again, Jalen Allen, the guy I talked about, is an athlete on offense, also starts for us on defense. A couple of young kids to note there, Logan Rose on the defensive line, Raheem Barge on our defensive line. Raheem's one of the biggest individuals on our football team, so you can't miss him on the field. In the linebacking core, we got a couple young men who we think are going to end up being good little players before it's all said and done. Orion Farrell and Nicholas Wiley, who, when we look at the dynamic and talking about our team, one of the other names defensive back-wise I'd be remiss to mention is Trayvon Hunter. and Devin Anderson, who both play in our secondary. But the beautiful thing about our team, with the exception of the offensive line, the quarterback's back for another 2 years. Most of my wideouts are back for another couple of years. All three of our running backs, with the exception of Jalen Allen, are back for another year or two. And then on defense, we lose Everett, we lose Deontay. Everybody else is back. We graduate Tony. Everyone else is back there. And then LaWarren graduates in the secondary, but everybody else is back for at least 1 or 2 years. So we got a lot of guys who are playing a lot right now who are young, classified as young kids, but again, that's what gives me hope about this season. I quietly, telling you this will be the first time I've ever said this out loud to anyone else other than someone in our program. I try not to look and say, this is a 3-7 year. This is a 9-1 year, 10-0 year. But it would not shock me if we're able to be 2 or 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. It wouldn't, because with the way we try to develop kids and as many youthful kids as we have, if they ever figure it out soon enough and handle their business the right way, I mean, that's a dangerous thing to have when you're a young person and you have confidence. You're willing to try anything, My wife surprises me all the time. She said, I'll try anything once. And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm going to think about it, right? Well, our kids, they don't think about it. So that's why this first week is so important, and then every week after, just building confidence. Obviously, there aren't no moral victories. You don't get an award for losing a game close. But the more games we're able to put together and win, I think the more dangerous of a group we become, because our young kids won't know any better. They're not going to know that, hey, this many sophomores and juniors, it's not y'all's time to win. They're not going to care about that. So, we'll let the chips fall where they may. But again, I'm excited, a lot more excited than I was last year, just knowing everything that we were up against. My biggest thing is just, at this point of the year, keeping everybody safe and making sure that we have everybody we're supposed to when Friday nights come, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Coach, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on about the team or about you or anything else before we wrap this up?
No, I'm so thankful for my family first, my wife Terry and my daughter Taylor, and my mom and dad, my older brother, and just all my family and friends who are always so supportive of everything that I do. And then here at school, my principal, Mr. Desmond Cole, and my athletic director, Ms. Teresa Gunter, for everything that they do in support of not just our program, but, Godby as a whole. We really are a village-type school. We try to rally around our kids and the things that they're doing. Like, we're getting ready to go out to practice now, and then when practice is over with, I'm going to take all the football players who want to stay in to help support our volleyball program. So, we're trying to truly build that family-type atmosphere where it's cool to be a Cougar, Godby Cougar, and so we're going to keep building, and it'll be our day in the sun soon. And I don't know that we're going to be accepting bandwagon applications, but when the time comes, we got a lot more work to do before that becomes a thing.
Definitely. Well, shout out to the Jones family and all of Godby High School. Lots of really exciting stuff upcoming for you guys this fall. And I'm really excited to watch you guys' journey. I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with me today.
Yes, ma'am. No problem. Thank you.
Welcome back in here, guys. I just have the utmost respect for Coach Jones. I know that he is going to be successful. Football is such a fraction of what he teaches his students. And I absolutely loved my conversation with him, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. And one more time, best of luck on your future endeavors, Coach Jones. We are all very excited for you. We as in me. Okay, moving ahead, we are still working through these football head coach, high school football head coach interviews. We are going to hear next time from Jared Hickman, Florida High's head coach. We had 2 of their games this season. One was away at Gadsden County. Florida High took that one by a pretty wide margin. That game was interesting. I will tell you guys about that next time. But then the second game we had of them was our last one of the season, and it was hosting Lincoln. And if you saw this game, you know it was a thriller at the end. Lincoln just about tied it up with just a few seconds left in the game. It was crazy. We definitely went out with a bang. But anyway, that's what's coming up. Jared Hickman, he's been the head coach at Florida High for a long time now. He is one of the most respected coaches in the area. I certainly respect him. And I am very thankful that he took the time to chat with me and to kind of work with our broadcast team. So thank you to Coach Hickman. And that's what's coming up on the Sports Report. So signing off, I am Emily Peters. Thanks for watching.